You're sitting alone at night, staring at your phone. She's not replying. You keep checking the screen, convincing yourself she's just busy. But deep down, you know she saw it, she's just choosing not to respond. And still, you wait, as if her message will decide whether your night ends in peace or collapse. Most men call that love. Albert Camus would call it self-destruction. Because this isn't about affection, it's about meaning. You've built your emotional universe around the idea that being loved by her gives your life value. That's where it begins, the slow decay of a man's soul in the name of connection. Camus once said that life itself is absurd, that we crave purpose in a universe that offers none. But when you make a woman your purpose, you're not finding meaning, you're outsourcing it. You're handing your existence to someone who was never meant to carry it. You think she's the light at the end of the tunnel, but she's only a mirror reflecting your emptiness back at you. You don't love her, you love the idea of being enough in her eyes. That's not love. That's worship. And worship always ends in humiliation. I've seen men crumble under the weight of that illusion. They start confident, grounded, full of life. Then they meet someone who awakens their loneliness, and suddenly their entire identity becomes a performance. They bend, filter, and shrink themselves just to remain desirable. They call it compromise, but it's decay. Camus would say this is the great tragedy of men, the refusal to face the void. Instead of building meaning from within, they chase it through the validation in someone else's gaze. They turn love into a religion, and she becomes God. Every unanswered text, every cold silence, every moment of distance feels like divine punishment. You start confessing instead of conversing, apologizing instead of asserting, begging instead of being. Here's the truth no one tells men. When you seek love to fix you, you destroy yourself. The moment you make someone else responsible for your peace, you give them power over your entire existence. You become a beggar of your own emotions. And she feels it, even if she never says it. She senses that silent plea behind every message, every favor, every compliment. And the more you try to hold her, the more she slips away. Because what women are drawn to is freedom, not desperation. What you're offering isn't love, it's emotional dependence wrapped in romance. Camus would call that absurdity in its purest form, a man trying to find eternal meaning in something as unstable as human affection. You've felt it before, that quiet after she loses interest. The texts fade, the laughter dies, and you're left replaying everything, trying to find the moment it all fell apart. That's what dependence feels like, detective work for a crime you didn't commit. Camus said the world doesn't owe you meaning. But men twist that truth. They expect love to explain them, to justify them, to complete them. When it fades, they call it betrayal. But it's not betrayal, it's exposure. You realize she was never your meaning. She was your distraction from the lack of it. When men seek love, they aren't chasing affection, they're running from themselves. They fear the silence that forces them to face who they really are without validation. That's the absurd Camus spoke of, the raw confrontation with existence itself. Most men can't handle it, so they chase relationships like morphine, not to heal, but to numb. The more you chase love to fill the void, the deeper it becomes. You get addicted to emotional crumbs, her approval, her smile, her attention. You start performing, apologizing for existing, erasing your own edges. That's not connection, that's self-erasure. Camus would say such a man has surrendered his revolt. Freedom, Camus believed, is the only real response to the absurd. But dependency kills freedom faster than anything. When your peace depends on someone else's mood, you're not in love, you're in captivity. Love doesn't destroy men. Their dependence on it does. The moment you seek love as salvation, you surrender your soul. You become Sisyphus, pushing the boulder of approval uphill, hoping this time it'll stay. But it never does, because meaning can't come from outside. Camus never said to give up on love, he said to wake up within it. To love without illusion. To see your partner not as your savior, but as a fellow traveler through the same chaos. Because when you stop seeking love as validation, you start giving it as expression. That's where freedom lives. To love someone freely is to love them without losing yourself. Not to need them, not to chase them, but to simply love, with clarity. Most men mistake suffering for depth. They think pain proves passion. But that's not love, it's dependency disguised as devotion. Lucid love doesn't demand your identity as payment. It doesn't make you smaller. It makes you steady. It's love that gives without begging, stays without clinging. Camus said, "To love and be loved is to feel the sun from both sides." But he never said to need. Because need isn't romantic, it's parasitic. The moment you say, "I can't live without her," you've already stopped living. No woman, no matter how divine, should hold that kind of power over a man. When love becomes worship, worship becomes ruin. Lucidity means standing beside a woman as an equal, not kneeling, not pretending. It means knowing your own path, your own mission, and understanding that if she leaves, you'll still stand. Because she was never meant to complete you, only to walk beside you while you complete yourself. Love will always tempt you to lose yourself, that's its danger and its beauty. But real strength is loving deeply without disappearing. It's holding something precious without pretending it will last forever. That's where most men fall apart, they can't handle impermanence. They crave guarantees in a world that offers none. So they cling, they chase, they beg. And in that desperation, they turn love into ruin. Camus would call that the tragedy of meaning, trying to build eternity from human emotion. You want real power. It's not making a woman love you. It's loving her fully and still being able to walk away if it costs you your peace. Because the man who no longer seeks love as his meaning has already found something far greater, himself. So stop chasing. Stop proving. Stop begging the world to notice your heart. Live. Create. Breathe. Let love find you where you already stand, rooted, calm, and free. Because love was never meant to save you. It was meant to meet you after you've saved yourself.